welcome to Rowing with the Homies. I'm your host, Finlos, and I'm so glad you're here. On this show, we explore the deep connection between big ideas, current events, and our personal, mental, and physical health. We talk about the inner work, the quiet, disciplined effort that makes this external movement of our lives meaningful. And what's on my mind today is a word, a term that has been quietly grinding away in the background for the past few days. It's not a word I hear thrown around in casual conversation, but once I sat with its actual definition when I heard it, it became a lens I couldn't really take off. And the word is epistemicide. And it was coined in critical sociology, most notably by Portuguese sociologist Boaventura de Sousa Santos. And epistemicide refers to the systemic destruction, marginalization, or deliberate erasure of entire systems of knowledge. It goes beyond physical displacement of the destruction of a people. It targets the ability of a community to name its own reality. A dominant power structure decides that its specific narrow way of knowing the world is the sole universal truth, subsequently absorbing, delegitimizing, or outright stealing every alternative perspective it touches. What haunts me about this concept is not merely its historical footprint, but what it reveals about the floor beneath the feet that we stand on. And when I trace the genealogies of what we call modern common sense, or whatever you want to call it, our economic defaults, our educational metrics, our concepts of productivity, our legal definitions of property and individual sovereignty, the seams become visible. So much of the societal machinery we rely on rests on false premises, unsound precepts, and stolen concepts, rebranded as original discoveries. We live in a culture built on plagiarized foundations, whole frameworks of sustainability, medicine, restorative community, and ecological harmony were violently stripped from indigenous and localized populations, rewritten through an extractive lens, and handed back to us as, quote, modern innovations. Seeing that mechanism forces an active, exhausting schema reassessment. And for clarity, psychology defines a schema as the cognitive framework or conceptual map we build to organize and interpret information. It is the background software running in the brain, so we don't have to reevaluate what a door or a currency or an institution is every single time we encounter one. Uncovering epistemicide feels like conducting an archaeological dig on my own consciousness. I end up brushing away layers of sediment, holding up a core belief, and analyzing the fracture lines. And I have to ask, where did I actually acquire this belief? Who manufactured this value? Why am I holding on to a framework engineered to keep us dependent, obedient, or disconnected? It's grueling labor. While I'm doing this heavy work of tearing down false scaffolding and reconstructing my worldview from the studs up, I look out the window and I realize how much of the world appears to move on pure, unexamined impulse. I see people operating strictly within inherited scripts, reacting to social stimuli, outrage cycles, and institutional demands without a moment of pause to audit the machinery behind their actions. It creates a terrifying, isolating friction. I begin to question whether we ever stop to organize or assess our internal structures at all, or if the dominant culture has succeeded in replacing deep, reflective schema alignment with raw, knee-jerk impulse. And this gets me thinking about what actually happens to a human being when an internal map, one of these schemas, collapses. In geology, tectonic plates pass one another constantly. They press up against each other, they grind. But we only pay attention when the friction becomes too great and the fault line gives way. And when those plates shift, the surface world changes overnight. Bridges collapse, foundations crack, landscapes are permanently altered. Psychologically, allowing for a schema shift mirrors a tectonic event. It's a psychological earthquake. When we confront evidence that proves a foundational truth I was raised on is fundamentally rotten, we have two choices. We can perform mental gymnastics, double down on cognitive dissonance, and ignore the new data to preserve the illusion of stability. Or we can allow for the tectonic shift, let the ground fracture beneath us, admit to being wrong or misled, and sit in the uncomfortable dust of the rebuild. That second path destabilizes identity. Yet, on the other side of that psychological shockwave lies the only thing worth fighting for, which is attunement, a thought structure aligned with reality rather than comfort. Epistemicide is no accident. It functions as a design choice for control. Erasing a community's knowledge system robs them of self-reliance. Industrial agriculture provides a concrete example. For millennia, agricultural communities had localized, highly sophisticated knowledge about seed saving, soil microbiomes, crop rotation, and microclimates. But during the Green Revolution, quote, of the mid-20th century, global agricultural conglomerates systematically discredited those localized knowledge systems as primitive or ineffective or inefficient. They replaced them with a standardized chemical-dependent model. Patented hybrid seeds, synthetic nitrogen fertilizers, and chemical pesticides like glyphosate. The result was the eradication of local knowledge, a classic epistemicide. The land was degraded, and farmers were transformed from self-contained experts into captive consumers, entirely dependent on corporate supply chains for the seeds and chemicals required to keep their depleted soil functioning. The exact same erasure happens in our internal lives. We are taught to discredit our biological intuition, our ancestral ways of regulating distress, and our communal support networks. We are instructed to hand over our internal governance to external authorities, market solutions, and algorithmic distractions. And the message is clear. Do not trust what your body or your community tells you. Trust the system. And this brings us back to the interpersonal weight of this work. When we commit to dismantling those stolen or false frameworks within ourselves, our relationships with the people around us change fundamentally. We listen to political debates, workplace chatter, or family discussions and arguments, and we realize we're not even using the same vocabulary, maybe not even speaking the same language. I'm operating from a place of questioning the validity of the structure itself. Meanwhile, the person across from me, maybe, is arguing how to decorate the walls inside a room built on a sinkhole. It creates a sense of profound alienation. I realize how much human interaction is driven not by conscious schema, organization, metacognition, thinking about how we're thinking about what we're thinking about, but protective reflex by protecting these false schemas fiercely, because the alternative, feeling the floor shake, admitting that the foundation is stolen or hollow, is too terrifying to face. So people choose to act on impulse. They repeat dominant scripts. They align with power because power offers the illusion of permanence. Stepping outside of that pattern requires quiet, disciplined effort. It means choosing the perpetual discomfort of an audited mind over the easy comfort of inherited lies. And as I keep moving, I want to bring this down to where it actually lives in me. Today, depression doesn't feel like an acute crisis. It's not a heavy or sharp pain or a dramatic storm. Today, depression feels like the exhaustion of standing on a fault line alone. It is the heavy paralysis that comes from doing the slow work of tearing down my own false internal structures, exposing the lies I was taught, burning away the stolen ideas, making myself radically honest and attuned, only to look up and realize that the rest of the world has no interest in what I'm rebuilding or doing the same work for themselves. I'm standing on a newly leveled, honest foundation while traffic rushes past, but nobody wants to pull over. Depression in this space is the weight of awareness paired with isolation. It's the voice in the middle of the night that asks, what was the point of breaking my own heart to find the truth? Why go through the terrifying pain of letting my world shake apart when acting on impulse and believing the lie gets everyone else through the day? Why carry heavy tools to a site where nobody else wants to build? This is where we anchor ourselves back into this movement. looking at depression through the lens of this system, I realize my exhaustion is not a personal failure. It is not a lack of grit or a defective character trait. Depression is a rational, biological, and psychological response to living in a world built on erased truths and forced compliance. Refusing to live on autopilot and refusing to let false standards manage my internal reality, and it causes real friction. The fatigue is the cost of staying conscious. And this resistance is not about fixing things overnight. We have to keep refusing to let the dominant culture dictate our internal reality. It's repeating no over and over again. It's choosing to keep questioning ourselves and our thoughts and our beliefs and our ideas. It's choosing to stay honest and choosing to hold on to the answers that we find in the process. Tending to our internal architecture and demanding truth, admitting what we do not know, and prioritizing alignment over comfort is how we maintain our sovereignty. It is an assertion that my mind is not a colony for industrial or institutional experimentation. And in the work, we sit in the dust of the old structure. But we keep doing the work because the alternative is sleeping in a collapsing house. And that's where I'll leave you for this episode. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I'm always curious about your thoughts on this topic. Feel free to reach out with comments or suggestions to finlos@finloslives.com or leave me a note on social media. You can find this and all past episodes at the website, finloslives.com. I look forward to our next conversation.